You know that feeling when a race ends, but the tension doesn't? When everyone's smiling for the cameras, but behind the scenes, something isn't right? That's exactly what's happening right now. Because after the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, revealed something that sent shockwaves through the paddock. He said his Ferrari suffered a mysterious failure in the final laps. Something so sudden and strange that even the team doesn't know what went wrong. It started near the end of the race, when Hamilton entered turn 5 and immediately felt something was off. He described it as if he had hit a bump or clipped debris, like the car suddenly lost balance completely. Out of nowhere, the front end stopped responding. Massive understeer, no bite in the steering. And worse, the brakes weren't doing what they were supposed to. Imagine you're fighting for points at 300 kilometers per hour, and suddenly your front end just gives up. According to Ferrari's telemetry, Hamilton's lap times dropped by over 3 seconds per lap in those final moments. Oscar Piastri began closing in at terrifying speed, and by the finish line, Hamilton crossed just 1 second ahead of him, completely at the limit, not even sure what was happening underneath him. Over the radio, his tone said everything. He didn't know if he had a puncture, if the floor was damaged, or if the front wing had collapsed. Nobody knew. Ferrari engineers tore through the data after the race, but nothing obvious appeared. No puncture, no visible suspension failure, no damaged aero parts. And that's what's making Maranello panic, because whatever happened, they can't explain it. Some inside the paddock are whispering about a potential suspension issue. Others think it could have been a structural tire failure in that final soft compound stint. But the real fear isn't just this one incident. It's the pattern. This was the 3rd time this season Hamilton has reported sudden grip loss in the closing laps. 3 times. Different tracks, same feeling. The car just stops cooperating near the end. He tried to stay calm when talking to reporters, but one line stood out. "I need to understand what's going on," he said. "The car still isn't where I want it to be." That wasn't just frustration, it was doubt. Doubt about whether Ferrari can give him a car that stays stable all the way to the checkered flag. And while Ferrari tries to figure out its mystery problem, another storyline exploded, one that could reshape the balance of the entire season. Because Max Verstappen didn't just win in Austin, he crushed the field. It was domination from lights to flag. But the fallout of that victory? It's thrown McLaren straight into the pressure cooker. Former driver and current pundit Jolyon Palmer didn't hold back. He said Norris made things too easy. That in the critical corners, especially turn 12, Lando just repeated the same patterns lap after lap. He needed to brake later, force a mistake, mix up his attack lines, Palmer said. Instead, he stuck to the script, and Leclerc defended him easily. That's not just a technical error. That's mental. Norris is feeling the pressure, because while he's trying to stay clean, avoid mistakes, and think long-term in this title fight, Oscar Piastri, right behind him in the standings, is throwing caution to the wind. The Australian's aggressive, fearless, and hungry. Norris looks like a driver managing risk. Piastri looks like one chasing glory. And in Austin, that difference was visible. Sometimes playing it safe can be just as dangerous as overdriving. Martin Brundle, one of the paddock's most respected voices, put it bluntly: McLaren is heading toward internal chaos. 2 young lions, both with long contracts and growing egos. That's the perfect recipe for disaster. And he might be right. The tension's building. You can feel it. Every time Norris and Piastri share a track, it's not just about points anymore. It's about pride. And Verstappen, watching from the top step of the podium, seems to know exactly how this story ends. Even the fans in Austin were split. When asked who they were rooting for, Norris or Piastri, the crowd gave a mixed reaction. Norris, once the clear fan favorite, doesn't have that unanimous support anymore. Piastri, even after his crash in the sprint, still has this aura, the sense that at any moment, he could do something special. And while McLaren wrestles with its own identity crisis, Ferrari's troubles just keep multiplying. Charles Leclerc left Austin with a podium, but also with a pointed message for his team. Just before the race started, Leclerc noticed something that immediately set off alarm bells. He was the only driver in the top 10 starting on soft tires. The only one. A massive risk, a gamble that could bring glory or disaster. And by the first corner, the fear was justified. The degradation was brutal. The car slid everywhere. The front tires were overheating. It looked fast for 3 laps. Then it started skating. Leclerc admitted it himself afterward. "I was worried when I saw I was the only one on softs," he said. "It was too risky." Still, even with the wrong call, his talent showed. He muscled his way past Lando Norris into P2 on the opening lap and even started to dream of fighting Verstappen. But Ferrari's calculations were off. Verstappen was cruising. Leclerc was bleeding grip. By lap 10, his front left tire was falling apart, and that's when the chaos hit. The team radio was pure confusion. Italian sources have since revealed that Ferrari misjudged the degradation curve for the C4 compound and ignored warnings from Pirelli about premature wear caused by Austin's new asphalt. A rookie-level mistake. And it cost them. Leclerc asked to pit early. He was told to stay out. When he finally stopped, it was too late. Norris, on fresher tires, caught and passed him easily near the end. The result, a podium that felt like a loss and a pit wall full of regret. Leclerc's words afterward were sharp. "We gained a position," he said, "but we lost a bigger opportunity. We need to learn, and fast." To the untrained ear, that sounds calm. But in Maranello, everyone knew what he meant. That was a shot, likely aimed at his race engineer, Brian Marcos, with whom he's had tension all year. And this mistake reopens an old wound at Ferrari, their inability to execute under pressure. Wrong calls, ignored data, missed chances. Leclerc's patience is thinning. He wanted to finish the season on a high, rebuild momentum before Ferrari's 2026 updates arrive. Instead, that symbolic best of the rest crown might slip into Lando Norris's hands. And with every misstep, the frustration grows. Not just in Leclerc, but in the entire Ferrari camp. But just when it looked like the weekend was over, Formula One found one more twist. Because right after dominating in Austin, Max Verstappen got hit with an unexpected summons from the FIA. The Red Bull team was officially called in by the race stewards for a potential breach of the International Sporting Code, specifically failure to follow instructions from race officials during the pre-race grid procedure. In simple terms, Red Bull might have ignored a direct FIA order. Sources close to the federation say it happened just minutes before lights out. Apparently, Red Bull engineers may have violated a safety protocol involving tire temperature or kept equipment near the car past the allowed cutoff time. There's even suspicion that someone adjusted a small detail on Verstappen's RB21 after the official hands-off moment. If that's confirmed, it's a clear violation. Now, Verstappen's win itself isn't in danger. It's unlikely the FIA will strip the result. But the fact that the team was summoned right after the checkered flag shows how serious this is. Grid procedures are sacred in Formula One. Any hint of a technical advantage gained outside of regulations is treated as a big deal. The penalties could range from a heavy fine to an official reprimand, and in repeat cases, even points deductions. What's even more intriguing is that Verstappen apparently had no idea during the race. He drove flawlessly, led every lap, and crossed the line completely unaware of the brewing controversy. But inside the Red Bull garage, it was a different story. Team engineers were seen leaving the pit wall looking visibly tense right after the steward's summons came through. No statements were issued, no comments made. Helmut Marko reportedly refused to answer any paddock questions. The only thing that leaked came from an internal source who quietly said the TED team simply followed standard procedure. Whether that's true or just damage control, nobody knows yet. So in one single weekend, we saw it all. Ferrari's confusion, McLaren's tension, Verstappen's dominance shadowed by controversy. Hamilton questioning his car, Leclerc questioning his team, Norris questioning himself. And Verstappen, he's not questioning anything. He's winning. And as the championship fight tightens, the cracks in every team are starting to show. Maranello's nerves, Woking's rivalry, Red Bull's scrutiny, they're all part of the same story. Formula One at its most raw, perfection under pressure, and chaos always one mistake away.